Have you ever eaten an apple in the morning and felt quietly proud of yourself thinking, I'm doing something good for my health, without realizing that after a certain age, that very habit could be putting dangerous pressure on your kidneys? Most people don't know this, but after 60, the body doesn't process food the way it used to, and the kidney in particular becomes far more fragile than we think. What once helped you stay healthy can slowly turn into a silent burden. Day after day, without pain, without warning, and without showing up on routine blood tests. I'm Dr. Mark Ellis, and I need to say this clearly. Some of the most common healthy habits are now among the reasons I see older adults developing kidney problems earlier than expected. Not because they eat poorly, not because they neglect their health, but because no one ever told them that timing, preparation, and quantity matter more than the food itself. And this is where the danger lies. Kidney damage doesn't announce itself loudly. It doesn't scream. It whispers. A little fatigue, slight swelling, foamy urine that's easy to ignore. By the time the signs become obvious, the damage is often already advanced and irreversible. But here's the part most people never hear, and the reason I want you to stay with me until the end of this video. You don't need to give up apples. You don't need extreme diets. And you certainly don't need fear. What you need is to understand how to eat familiar foods in a way that protects aging kidneys instead of overwhelming them. In this video, I'm going to show you 3 critical mistakes many people over 60 make without realizing it, and then I'll share a simple, practical way to enjoy apples safely, one that has helped real patients reduce kidney stress and regain peace of mind. If kidney health matters to you or to someone you love, this may be one of the most important conversations you hear this year. Take a breath, stay with me, and let's begin. When we talk about apples harming the kidneys, the first mistake I need to address is the one almost everyone believes is healthy apple juice and apple smoothies. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The moment you put an apple into a blender, it is no longer the same food your body evolved to handle. Whole apples come wrapped in fiber, and that fiber slows sugar absorption, giving your kidneys time to cope. But once that fiber is shredded, what you're drinking is essentially a liquid sugar rush. No chewing, no breaks, just glucose and fructose flooding straight into your bloodstream. For an aging kidney, that surge is not harmless. Blood sugar spikes force the kidneys to filter harder, faster, and under higher pressure. Fructose in particular is metabolized in a way that raises uric acid levels, a compound strongly linked not only to gout, but to chronic kidney inflammation. Studies consistently show that repeated glucose spikes accelerate damage to the tiny filtering units of the kidney, the glomeruli, especially in adults over 60. I once had a patient tell me very confidently, "Doctor, I don't drink soda. I only drink fresh apple juice every morning. It's natural." He truly believed he was protecting his health, but his lab results told a different story: rising creatinine, foamy urine, and early-stage chronic kidney disease. When we removed the juice and replaced it with whole, gently prepared fruit, the stress markers on his kidneys began to stabilize within months. From a kidney's perspective, there is a harsh comparison most people don't want to hear, but need to understand. To an aging kidney, a glass of apple juice behaves far more like a sugary soft drink than a piece of fruit. The label may say natural, but the metabolic impact is shockingly similar. And this is why so many well-intentioned people damage their kidneys without ever touching junk food. They're not eating poorly, they're eating too fast in a form their kidneys can no longer manage. So let me ask you directly, do you or someone you love drink fruit juice or smoothies every morning thinking it's the healthiest choice? If so, pause here for a moment, because simply avoiding juice is not enough. But knowing this alone isn't sufficient, because there is another habit that may be even more damaging to your kidneys, and almost no one talks about it. Now, if apple juice overwhelms the kidneys like a sudden shock, this next habit is far more dangerous because it works quietly night after night while you're asleep eating apples in the evening. Most people assume the problem is digestion. They think if I eat fruit at night, maybe I'll feel a little bloated. But for aging kidneys, the real damage happens much deeper than the stomach. At night, your body is supposed to shift into repair mode. Blood pressure naturally drops. The kidneys slow their workload and finally get a chance to rest. But when you eat an apple late in the evening, especially after dinner, that process is disrupted. Apples contain fermentable fibers. In a slowed nighttime digestive system, those fibers begin to ferment, producing gas discomfort and subtle sleep disruption. You may still fall asleep, but it's lighter fragmented sleep, not true restorative rest. And here's where the kidney problem begins. Poor sleep activates the sympathetic nervous system, keeping nighttime blood pressure elevated. Medical research shows that healthy kidneys depend on a nighttime blood pressure drop of at least 10%. When that dip doesn't happen, the kidneys are forced to filter blood under high pressure all night long. Think of it this way. Your kidneys are like an old water filter. During the day, the valve is open and water flows through. At night, that valve is supposed to close so the filter can recover. Eating fruit late at night is like leaving that valve wide open while the system is already worn down. Over time, the delicate filter scars stiffen and begin leaking protein into the urine, a condition known as proteinuria, one of the earliest warning signs of kidney damage. I've heard countless patients say, "But I only eat half an apple at night." And that's exactly why this mistake is so dangerous. The damage doesn't come from one night. It comes from repetition, night after night, month after month. Especially in people with diabetes or high blood pressure, this habit dramatically accelerates kidney decline. So ask yourself, honestly, have you ever eaten fruit at night because it felt light, safe, even healthy? If so, you're not alone and you're not careless. You were simply never told what happens to aging kidneys after the lights go out. But knowing this alone isn't enough because there's one more hidden danger, and it's sitting right on the apple itself. And just when many people think they've fixed the problem by avoiding juice and stopping fruit at night, there is one more danger that almost no one expects because it's invisible, silent, and clinging directly to the apple itself. For years, we've been told the same thing: eat the apple skin. That's where the nutrients are. In theory, that advice sounds reasonable. Apple skins do contain antioxidants, but theory and reality are not the same, especially in today's food system, and especially for aging kidneys. Here's the reality most people never see. The vast majority of apples sold in markets today are coated with a thin layer of edible wax to make them shiny, attractive, and shelf-stable during long transportation. Beneath that wax trace, amounts of pesticides often remain even after washing. Regulatory agencies may say these levels are within safe limits, but those limits are calculated for healthy younger bodies, not for people over 60 with reduced detox capacity. After the age of 60, liver blood flow declines and kidney clearance efficiency drops significantly. That means toxins that once passed through easily can now accumulate slowly day after day. You don't feel pain, you don't feel sick, but those compounds still have to go somewhere, and eventually they end up passing through the kidneys, the body's final filtration system. I've had patients proudly tell me they scrub their apples thoroughly, soak them in baking soda, and still eat the skin because they don't want to lose nutrients. Their intentions are good. But here's the uncomfortable truth: no amount of rinsing fully removes wax-trap residues. And when an aging kidney is forced to repeatedly process even small chemical loads, inflammation builds quietly over time. This is where we need to let go of an old belief. For aging organs, more nutrients is not always better. Less toxic load is far more important. For someone over 60, peeling an apple is not a loss, it's a protective decision. Vitamins can be replaced easily. Damaged kidney tissue cannot. So let me ask you, honestly, have you ever believed that peeling an apple meant you were doing something wrong for your health? If so, you're not alone. That belief has been passed down for decades. But for aging kidneys, safety must come before tradition. And even with all three dangers avoided, there's still one final question that matters most. Is there a way to eat apples that actually supports the kidneys instead of stressing them? That answer may surprise you, so stay with me. Before we end, I want you to hear this clearly, and I want you to hear it with calm, not fear. If you've recognized yourself in any part of this video, that does not mean you failed your health. It means you're paying attention, and awareness is always the first step toward protection. Your kidneys are not asking for extreme diets or drastic changes. They're simply asking for less stress, better timing, and a little more kindness in how you treat your body each day. If this information helped you see food differently, not as something to fear, but as something to use wisely, please take a moment to save this video. You never know when you or someone you love may need to hear this reminder again. And if kidney health matters to you, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. I share evidence-based practical medical insights designed specifically to help you protect your kidneys naturally, without panic and without unnecessary medication. Most importantly, remember, this aging does not mean decline is inevitable. Small, thoughtful changes like how and when you eat familiar foods can slow damage, preserve function, and give your kidneys the breathing room they need to keep supporting you for years to come. You deserve a future where your body feels lighter, your sleep is deeper, and your health is something you feel confident about, not anxious over. Thank you for spending this time with me. Take care of your kidneys, take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.